I don't think the market is moving in precise increments, ticking to every one of these headlines. I think the market is reacting to the overall heightened noise level. The noise level is very high. The futures right now in the S&P are going to get you back to where we traded at 10:30, where we traded last Friday.
We've had head fakes every morning.
But that's my point. Right. So we're gyrating. The market's reacting to itself. The market wants quiet. The market wants to price in what the Fed's going to do and all the rest of it. I think we backed ourselves into a place of a lot of people thinking we need some kind of progress on trade to kind of liberate us from this period. It's not clear to me that we're going to get that before the end of the year, and the market might not wait for that to attempt to try to show that this is a bottom.
Dan, what do you think?
Well, take a little bit of a different tack here. Think about where we were 8 days ago, Andrew. Nobody believed there was a 90-day time limit. Nobody believed there was ag purchases. Nobody believed that there was going to be auto tariff reductions. And if Becky's right, and this is a show-me market, over the last 8 days, we've learned that to be true. Then we had the arrest of the Chinese business executive. We wondered whether that could be separated from the trade talks, and it looks as if that issue is going to be separated from the trade talks on a parallel level itself. So there has been incremental progress on trade.
Hold on, Dan, you think it's separated? I thought the president just hinted that he was actually now wrapping it into the trade talks.
I want to be careful about that. But before we had that development last night, it was clear that the Chinese are making moves to purchase ag, to lower auto tariffs, even after the arrest of that business person. What the president is saying is, I want to do a deal with China. He's been saying that since November 1st, and the market has been very, very dismissive of that, and he's telling you where he wants to go. Our sense is that the arrest will then lead to company sanctions, and it will still be a criminal justice offer. But the president is sending a signal that by March 1st, he wants a deal. And Andrew, don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of hiccups between now and March 1st. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. But I think on the China issue, we've directionally moved in the right place.
Well, so that's the question. You see the tweets, and the president tweeted out just yesterday morning, positive news on the China talks. He had positive news, I think, on December 7th, similarly. And yet, you're right. This is a show-me market.
Yep.
When you see those tweets, what do you think the investor is actually supposed to do?
Yeah, so it's hard. It's like tax reform. You remember when Gary Cohn put out a one-page on tax reform and the market said, wake us up in 6 months when you actually get there? That's what I think is going on with the market. As we get closer to a deal, the market wants to focus on that. But between now and then, you're going to get in earnings calls where companies are going to be warning about tariffs. But a month ago, Andrew, everybody was worried about an escalation, and you're actually seeing those tensions de-escalate. So
right.
Directionally, that's positive. Then you had the episode in the White House yesterday, which raises a new risk. I don't think people are worried about a government shutdown. In fact, we're talking about 3 to 5% of the federal government in total being shut down on December 22nd. But they're looking ahead to the debt ceiling fight in midsummer next year, to sequestration, and saying, can divided government solve those problems? That's going to be a larger issue, and it's going to take some time for that to get resolved. So it's a push-pull market. We're probably going back into trench warfare, but the president is making progress on this China trade issue. And I think overall in the past 7 days, things have gotten better.
Can you just define what you think progress ultimately looks like? Because one of the issues that we've been wrestling with this morning, and I think everyone's been wrestling with for months now, is actually what the goal line looks like. And because it hasn't been defined by the president, at least explicitly, and that may be a negotiating tactic, it makes it very difficult to actually measure if you're an investor.
Absolutely, right? So I would put it into 3 buckets, Andrew. Number one, tariffs in China are on average 10%. In the U.S., it's 3.5%. They want those tariff schedules getting lower and closer to a developed country. Second, the joint venture requirements, the stealing of intellectual property. You're already seeing China loosen those restrictions, particularly for non-U.S. companies, but eventually it's going to translate to U.S. companies when this deal comes in. That's in autos, that's in insurance, and some other sectors. But it is much more complicated and detailed than we know about. This is about cybersecurity. It's about artificial intelligence. And those conversations are happening behind the scenes. They've been going on between both sides for the last 6 to 8 months. There's a lot going on that we don't see. Those are going to be the tougher issues to crack. And whether we get a deal or not are going to be decided on those issues. But on the two that are very visible on the surface, tariffs and some of these non-tariff barriers, they're making significant progress on that. And it looks like both sides want to do a deal.
Okay.
I was just going to say you can believe there's progress ahead. You can believe that the market doesn't think there's going to be a new layer of tariffs, but you're still left with the question of how much of what we're going through in the markets right now is really this policy stress. How much of it is really trade? How much of it is just 10% on Chinese imports? It's not clear because we're dealing with this kind of huge subset of issues. Oil crashed at the same time.
But you're looking at concerns about being end of cycle, late cycle for the economy, and you wonder how much trade will.
That would be one headwind.
Will then kind of pile on.
I agree with that.
Fed policy mistakes, you're worried about it all.
All of it, yeah.